Be aware. On Sunday afternoon, there was a group from this Sangha University that came to interview Luangpu and ask for contents so they can write a book of different lineage in Thailand. There are many schools. Some uses Buddha, some uses hands movement. And Luangpu is the fifth lineage. They asked, the question was funny. The question was that at the lineage, they were very clear of what the object of meditation would be, like Buddha or Buddha Bhikkhu. They use the breathing meditation or anapanasati. They use that. They have the 16 steps of the breathing meditation, which cover all the four foundations of mindfulness. Another lineage is about rising and falling. They were very clear about their object of meditation too. And Luangpu Thien's lineage used the body, the hands movement, and the group asked Luangpu, so what is your object of meditation? And Luangpu said, there's no one object of meditation, but the important point is that how can we use the object of meditation so we can obtain the right samadhi? You can use any object of meditation if you have the right mind. It can be right. But without the correct practice, it doesn't matter what object of meditation you use, it would be wrong. The interviewer was confused. So the interviewer asked, so is your way of practice is to observe the mind? Luangpu said, oh, it's not always the mind for everybody. So for this school, it is flexible. Therefore, it covers all the types of object of meditation. When Luangpu met with Venerable Luangpu Dun, his teacher, and after Luangpu understood how to practice, Luangpu visited different schools to see how they practice. And then he found that in each school, there were people who understood how to practice. There were people who did not understand how to practice. For example, like Luangpu Khamkien. He was a student of Luangpu Thien. When Luangpu Khamkien met with Luangpu Pramote, at that time he had lymphatic cancer. They met at Chulalongkorn Hospital. Luangpu visited him, and when Luangpu Khamkien met with Luangpu Pramote, he said that now it can go on, it can go on. which means that the teachings of how to practice mindfulness can go on. Someone can teach this after Luangpu Tien. Luangpu Kam Kien understood how to practice. If you practice correctly, you will understand the same thing. Luangpu Kam Kien said, it's all about sati. It's all about mindfulness. If you will wonder what is Luangpu's teaching is about, he said it was about mindfulness. Luangpu Kam Kien said once he was invited to give a Dhamma talk at this park, and after he finished teaching, the organizer said, why did you only talk about the mindfulness, cultivating mindfulness? How come you didn't teach about keeping the precepts? But without mindfulness, you cannot have the precepts. You cannot have samadhi. You cannot have the wisdom. So when Luangpu Kam Kien was giving a Dhamma talk, he was giving the talk on the core of how to practice, which is to have mindfulness. Luangpu didn't learn from Luangpu Kam Kien or Luangpu Tien, his teacher. But if you practice correctly, they understand the same thing. Luangpu Kam Kien said to Luangpu that at the beginning, Luangpu Tien didn't have the 14 hands gesture. He taught how to be mindful as well, but people did not understand. People kept thinking of how to practice correctly. So Luangpu Tien invented this practice of the hands movement, the 14 steps of hands movement. This is just a technique, just a style, but the core of the practice is to be mindful, to move the hand and know so, move the hand and know so. As the hand moves, it stopped. Be aware of that. Know so of that. That is knowing so of the body. That is one of the foundations of how to practice mindfulness. Or if you use Buddha as the object of meditation, actually to use Buddha is not just to say Buddha without understanding, like you are a pirate. But to have Buddha is to use that as the object of meditation so the mind can be awakened. It can be a knower. After the mind is a knower, you can use this mind to cultivate wisdom. So it doesn't matter which object of meditation you use, but the important thing is to have the correct state, correct mindfulness. Once you have that, then you will have the correct samadhi. Once you have the correct samadhi, you can cultivate the wisdom or vipassana practice. And then once you can practice vipassana correctly, then you will attain the wisdom. So the interviewer tried to ask Luangpu to criticize other lineage, other school. Luangpu said, I'm not that school. He said that in each lineage is like a different restaurants or different clothing store. It depends on the person's preference. It doesn't matter which restaurant you go into. It will make you full. The core is that the core has to be correct. You have to have the correct mindfulness or the correct sati. That is the most important thing. So this is what Luangpu is teaching us, is to develop correct sati or correct mindfulness so we can attain the correct samadhi. When we can attain correct samadhi, then we can cultivate wisdom. So you can use any tools or any object of meditation to achieve that. So in our school, we don't have any specific form or techniques or methods. So how to attain the correct sati? Luangpu didn't think of this himself. The Lord Buddha taught us that is to practice the full foundation of mindfulness, to have sati, to be aware of the body, of the mind, of the Dhamma. The key word is to know. If you like the breathing meditation, is to know of the body breathing. When the body is breathing in, know so. When the body is breathing out, know so. Then be aware, know the body. The phenomena when we are aware of our body is when the mind becomes a stable observer. And when the mind is lost at the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, we will be aware. So we practice mindfulness so we can awaken ourselves. To be aware of ourselves, to be mindful of ourselves, that is a starting point of how to be liberated from suffering. If you practice the full foundation of mindfulness, for a while, your mind will be awakened. You will be aware. Another term for being aware is Buddha, or the knower. This is an amazing thing. Not many people in this world are awakened. Most people in the world are lost. Luangpu didn't go into detail with the interviewer. Most people in the world, they are lost. They are not aware. They are not awakened. If you want to be awakened, you want to be aware, you have to start practicing the foundation, foundation of mindfulness. You can use any object of meditation of your preference. You can use the breathing meditation. You can be aware of your body moving. Or you can observe your feeling satisfied, unsatisfied, or neutral. The feeling of the body, feeling of the mind. Or you can observe if the mind is wholesome or unwholesome. If you keep observing that, then you started to see how the mind works. When the mind is wholesome or unwholesome, this covers everything. So therefore, at first you have to have the object of meditation for the mind to stay with. When Luangpu started to practice, Luangpu used the breathing meditation to practice samatha, to attain samadhi. And then Luangpu practiced vipassana by observing the mental phenomena. He observed the feeling. He observed the mental phenomena. So Luangpo cultivate the wisdom by observing the mental phenomena. As he went into more detail, he observed the rising and falling of the mind. When the mind is a true stable observer, he was able to see the 5 aggregates that they all separate. There's a physical aggregate, there's a mental aggregate. The consciousness is something that goes to know at our central contact at the eyes, ears, nose, tongue. At first, Luangpo has a personality that he get angry easily. When Luangpo Dun asked Luangpo to observe his mind, he saw that he was easily annoyed. He knew so of his defilement. Luangpo Dun taught him to know of the defilement, not to try to eradicate it. To know when the mind is greedy, to know when the mind is not greedy, to know when the mind is with downness, to know when the mind is not with downness, to know if the mind is clinging, attaching, or the mind is letting go. So as you observe the mind, you can just observe whatever you can, as much as you can. You don't have to try to see the things that you cannot see. We should observe the types of mind, the mental phenomena. There are about 8 types of minds that you can observe. Like the mind is greedy, the mind is not greedy, the mind is anger, the mind is without anger. There are another 8 types of mind that is very refined, that you cannot see yet, and don't worry about that. If you cannot see that, you don't have to worry about it. Just observe the things that you can see. So as Luangpo practiced, he saw when his mind was with anger, and after a while, the anger disappeared. So the mind is without anger. So the anger is like the cloud that cover the moon. The moon is like the mind. The moon by itself is bright, it is free from the feeling, but the clouds sometimes come and cover the moons. So keep observing like that. You will see that the defilement itself is a separate thing from the mind. The anger, the sadness, the greed, they are separate from the mind. The restlessness is separate from the mind. If you are able to separate that, and if you have enough mental strength, you will see that everything that the mind is aware of is not us. If you have the mind that is a stable observer, when the mind knows of the body, you will see that this body is not us. When the mind is a stable observer, when we see the mental feeling, you will see that the feeling is not us. When the mind sees the other mental phenomena, you will see that all the mental phenomena is not us. So keep practicing like this, and you will see that everything that the mind is coming to know, is aware of, is not us. And once you practice again and again, you will see that most of the 5 aggregates, except for the mind, they are not us. But you might still feel that the mind is still us.
วิญญาณนะวิญญาณ
The consciousness is still
เป็น
us.
จิตอันเดียวกันนะ
You might feel like
แต่
that.
อยู่ในบริบทที่แตกต่างกัน
The mind and consciousness
รู้อารมณ์ทางตา
are
หูจมูกลิ้นกายใจและมีวิญญาณพิเศษ
are the same thing, but they work in a different
วิญญาณ
way.
วิญญาณที่ยังลงในภพใหม่ไปเกิดใหม่ไอ้ตัวนี้พวกเราอย่าไม่ต้องเรียนไม่เห็นนะเราเรียนวิญญาณ
You don't have to go into detail yet because you cannot see that. But you can be aware of the consciousness that go into different central contexts to the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and the mind itself.
จิตที่ไปดมกลิ่นก็
Then you can observe that the mind that goes to the eye is one thing. The mind that goes to the ear is one thing. The mind that knows the feeling is one thing. There are separate
จิต
things.
มีดวงเดียว
So it's not that there's only one mind.
จิตกระจายตัวออกไปทาง6ทวารได้
But to see that the mind there are different minds. But to have that, to see that,
จิตผู้รู้
you have to have the knower mind.
คำว่าจิตผู้รู้นะมันกล่อนไปในวัดกรรมฐานนะส่วนใหญ่ก็จะไปนั่งสมาธิให้จิตสงบเน้นไปที่สงบ
Many of the school will teach students to sit and meditate so the mind is still and it's calm. But for Luangpo, when he learned that, he was taught that the important thing is to have the mind that is a knower.
ให้เราดูจิต
So Luangpo's master, Luangpo's teacher told Luangpo to practice and observe the mind.
ในความเป็นจริงจิตก็เป็นผู้รู้อยู่แล้ว
In fact, the mind is already a knower. That is its nature.
คือจิตอะไรจิตที่เราไม่ได้เข้าไปแทรกแซง
The knower mind is the mind that we are not interfering with. It just is free to know. It is right.
ธรรมชาติเดิมของจิตนั้นประพัดสอน
That is the nature of the mind. But sometimes the mind is saddened, it is clouded by the defilement.
ตอนหัดใหม่ๆเหมือนกันหมดแล้วนะคือโลภอยากรู้สภาวะให้ชัด
Most students when start to practice, we have greed. We have wanting to see the phenomena clearly, and not realizing that is greedy. So the mind that is free from the defilement is gone because it is tainted with greed. So what this Luangpo is teaching us is to see, to attain the mind that is without the defilement. But you cannot create this mind to arise. Every time you try to create this mind, it is tainted with wanting. So every time when you have greed, try to make this mind to arise, that is with greed.
คล้ายๆพระจันทร์ก็มีอยู่นะ
It is like there is a moon, but it is blocked by the cloud. So if you try to see the moon, you cannot see the moon clearly because it is blocked by the cloud. So how can we remove the cloud?
ก็คือจิตที่ไม่มีกิเลสแทรกเข้ามา
How can we attain the mind that is free from the defilement?
ทำกรรมฐานไป
To attain that is to practice by having any object of meditation of your preference. In this school, we might not have specific the object of meditation, but we have the right principle. You can use Bhutto, and when the mind is sleepy, know so. If use Bhutto. If the mind is clinging to Bhutto, know so. If the mind is wandering off to think away from Bhutto, know so. The mind is moving toward clinging Bhutto or moving away from Bhutto. It's all because of the defilement. The mind that is dull is because of the drowsy. The mind that is drowsy is also because of the dullness. The mind that is clinging to the object in meditation is the mind that is with greed, because you want to know the object in meditation clearly. So if you know so of the mind clearly, the defilement will fall away automatically. So you can use any object of meditation of your preference. You don't have to force the mind to be calm, to be peaceful. As soon as you try to make it calm, to be peaceful, then the mind that is free from defilement is gone. Because as soon as you try, that is the mind with greed. The greed is acting, making you try. If you use the observing the stomach rising and falling, as the mind is clinging to the stomach, no so. Or if you use the breath, as soon as the mind is clinging, is attached, clinging to the breath, no so. If you're using the hands movement, as the mind wander off to think, no so. As the mind is clinging to the hands, no so. So what is Luangpa's teaching? You can use any type of object meditation. It works for all schools. Method. So it's not that one method, one technique is better than another. It's only about which technique, which method is most suitable to you. So Luangpa is teaching depends on your preference. So this is how Luangpu Dun taught Luangpa as well. Luangpu Dun taught Luangpa to observe the mind. Luangpu Dun didn't teach all the students to observe the mind. Many of Luangpu Dun's students were taught to observe the body. So it depends on your preference. So Luangpa never say that you have to practice in a certain way, that you have to walk this way, you have to breathe this way. Luangpa never, because it's all techniques. You can use any technique of your preference. The most important thing is to be aware of your mind. For example, if you practice the walking meditation, if your mind is focusing on your feet, no so. Some even worse, they observe the floor. The floor is not us. It would be a waste of time to observe the floor. So as you practice the walking meditation, be aware. Luangpa didn't say that himself. The Buddha said that to his Sangha. He said, monks, be aware as you walk. As you are aware as you're walking, if the mind is clinging to the body, no so. If the mind wander off to think, no so. But you need to have the object in meditation so that it's like a reference point. So you can notice the mind. As the mind wander away from the object in meditation, you can know so. As the mind moving to cling onto the object in meditation, you can know so. As you know so, whatever is tainting the mind, it will fall away. Another example, if lust arises, you can know that lust will fall away and the mind will be an over. This is a principle that Luangpa is teaching us. If Luangpa tell us that you have to walk in a certain way, you have to lift up your feet, how high that you have to lift up your feet. Luangpa does not teach us that, because everyone's personality preference is different.
มันเป็นไปได้ไหมเป็นไปไม่ได้
It is not possible for everyone
กรรมฐานเนี่ยเป็นเรื่อง
to have the same
เฉ
preference.
พาะตัว
So to
กรรมฐานอะไร
practice
เหมาะกับเราเราก็ใช้
is
ได้
all individual.
แต่
You
ทำไงให้
have
มันเกิดส
to
ติให้เกิดความตั้งมั่นของจิต
practice
นั่นแหละ
the way that you
มัน
prefer,
ไม่ใช่
but
ว่า
and
กรร
then
มฐานอย่างดี
the
ๆ
key
อย่างนี้ไม่ดี
is
ไม่ใช่
to obtain the mind that is a stable
บางที่
observer.
ก็มีนะกำหนดตาเห็นรูปกำหนดที่จักขุประสาทนะคิดเอา
In
เท่านั้น
some
แหละ
school, they said that you have to know that the mind is at the
ถ้าทำกรรม
eyes
ฐาน
and
นะ
is,
ก็อย่างหนึ่งนะอะไรก็ได้ที่เราถนัด
but that
แต่
is
ไม่ได้
that can
ทำเพื่อสงบ
involve too much thinking,
ทำ
but
เป็
they're
น
not
เครื่อ
really
งสังเก
feeling
ต
it.
จิตเป็นเครื่
So
องสั
you
งเกต
can
จิต
have any object
พุ
of
ทโธไป
meditation,
จิตหนีไป
so
ก็
you
รู้
can
จิตไปเพ่ง
see
พุทโธก็
how the
รู้
mind
หาย
works.
ใจไปจิตหนีไปเพ่งไปคิด
You
เรื่อง
can
อื่น
use
ก็รู้จิตไป
Putto,
เพ่ง
you
ลม
can
ก็
use
รู้
the breathing
ถ
meditation,
นัดดู
the
ท้องพอง
breath,
ยุบก็ดูไป
or you can
จิตถลำลง
observe
ไปที่ท้อง
the
ก็รู้
stomach
จิตหนี
rising
ไป
and
ก็รู้
falling. So as
ทำอา
the
นาปานส
mind
ติ
is
หายใจไป
attaching,
จิต
clinging
ห
to
นี
the
ไปก็
object
รู้จิต
meditation,
จม
know
ไปกับ
so.
ลมหายใจ
As
ก็
the
รู้
mind wander off from
ที่
the
จริง
object
มันมี 3
meditation,
ช้อย
know so.
อย่างเรารู้ลมหายใจนะ
There
อันห
are
นึ่ง
three
จิตหนี
choices
ไป
you
จากล
can
มหาย
do.
ใจ อันหนึ่ง
If,
จิตไปเพ่ง
for
ความ
example,
รู้
if
ไป
you
จมอยู่
use
กับล
the
มหายใจ
breath,
ตัวที่ถูกก็คือจิตรู้ลมหายใจ กริยาที่ถูกคือรู้
there are three things that would
หลง
happen.
ไป
One
คิด
is
ไม่ได้
that the
ถ
mind
ลำไป
wander
เพ่ง
off
ไม่ใช่การ
from the
รู้
breath.
นะ
That
กา
is
ร
the
เพ่ง
mind is
เนี่ยมันเจือ
lost.
ด้วยโลภะเจือ
If
ตั
the
ณหา
mind is
เพราะฉะนั้น
clinging
ก
to
ริ
the
ยาที่เรา
breath,
จะฝึกให้ได้นะ
that
คือรู้
is the mind is with greed because you
ถ้า
want
เรา
to
ใช้กาย
feel
เป็น
the
วิหาร
breath.
ธรรมแล้วก็รู้กาย
When
ไป
you know so, the greed will fall
แล้ว
away.
พอเรารู้กายไปด้วย
And
จิต
the
ธรรม
the
ดา
third
ธรรม
thing
ดา
that
นะ
would happen
จิ
is
ตเรา
that
จะ
the
ถอน
that
ตัวขึ้น
the
มา
mind is
เป็น
just
จิต
right.
ผู้รู้จิตผู้รู้คือจิ
The
ตประ
mind
ภัส
is
ส
a
ร
knower. The mind is free
พอ
from
ได้จิตประภัสสรแล้วเราถึงจะไป
it's a
เจริญปัญ
knower
ญา
and become a
ต่
stable
อไปอีก
observer.
ให้เห็นนะกระทั่งตัวจิตเองก็ตกอยู่ใต้ไตรลักษณ์
And after that, you
เรา
can
จะเห็น
cultivate
จิตตกอยู่
wisdom,
ใต้ไตรลักษณ์ได้เราต้องได้จิตผู้รู้เสียก่อน
and you will
ถ้า
see
เรามีแต่
that
จิตผู้หลงทั้งหมด
everything fall
หล
under
ง
the
ทั้ง
three
ตาหูจมูกลิ้นกายใจ
characteristics.
เรา
But
จะ
to
ไม่
have
รู้ว่า
that,
จิตหลง
you have to have the
เรา
mind
จะ
that
มี
is a
จิตที่
stable
เป็นผู้รู้
observer.
ผู้ดูก่อนแล้วพอจิตผู้รู้ดับ
And to
จิต
have
จิต
the
ที่
mind
หล
that
ง
is
ไปดู
stable observer, you have to have the
ส
mind that
ติ
is
เรา
a
นึกรู้
knower
ได้ว่า
first.
ตอนนี้จิตมันเคลื่อนไปทางตาแล้วอย่างไปทางตาแล้วจิตที่หลงไปทางตาดับจิตผู้รู้ก็เกิดขึ้นอีกจิตผู้รู้อยู่ชั่วคราวนะมีสิ่งมายั่วเย้าทางหูได้ยินเสียง
The knower
จิต
mind
ผู้รู้
is
ดับเกิดจิตที่ไปฟัง
only
เสียง
temporarily. When the
จิตที่ไป
mind,
ฟังเสียง
when,
เกิดขึ้น
for
จิต
example,
ไหล
if
ไป
you
ฟัง
have
เสียงสติรู้
the
ทัน
mind
ว่า
that
จิ
is
ต
a knower,
เคลื่อนไปฟั
and
ง
there's
เสี
a
ยง
sound, the mind
จิต
moves
ที่เคลื่อน
towards
ไป
the
ฟังเสียง
sound
ดับจิต
to
ผู้รู้
listen to
เกิ
the
ด
sound.
เห็นไหม
As
มัน
you
ต้อ
know
งมี
so,
สถานี
the
เหมือนหลว
mind
งปู่
that
เทศน์ท่านเรียก
moves
สถา
towards
นี
the sound
มันต้อง
fall,
มีที่ลง
and
ก่อน
then a normal mind would
ไม่
arise
งั้นมันจะเป็น
again.
จิตจรจัดไหลไปทางตาหูจมูกลิ้นกายใจทั้งวัน
So you have to
และ
be
ที่เรา
aware.
ฝึกให้ได้จิต
Then
ผู้
the
รู้
mind
นะ
will,
ก็จะได้มี
so
ส
you
ถา
will
นี
have the
มีสนาม
mind
บิน
that
ล
is
ง
a knower
ไม่งั้นบินไปเรื่อยๆเดี๋ยวก็
all
เกิ
the
ดเป็นตก
time.
ตาย
So it's like a
เพราะฉะนั้น
plane.
ต้อง
You
ฝึก
need to
นะ
land
ทำกรรมฐานสัก
sometimes.
อย่างหนึ่งแล้ว
The
คอย
the
รู้
plane
ทัน
cannot
จิตตัว
just
เอง
keep
ไว้
flying, otherwise it will run out
จิ
of
ตไหลไป
gas.
จากอารมณ์กรรมฐานรู้ทันจิตถลำไปเพ่งอารมณ์กรรมฐานรู้ทันจิตรู้อารมณ์กรรมฐานสักว่ารู้ว่าเห็นอยู่รู้ทันเนี่ยอย่า
So
งนี้
have an object of
ได้ยิ
meditation
น
of
เสีย
your
ง
preference
จิตหลง
and
ไป
know
ก็รู้
so
หลง
as
ไป
the
ตัด
mind
เสียงก็รู้นะจิต
wander
ไปเพ่ง
off from
บางที
the object
แค่
of
ได้ยินเสียงไม่
meditation
เอานะ
and know
เราเพ่
so
งอยู่
as
ที่
the
ลม
mind
นี้
is
เราเพ่ง
clinging
อยู่
to
ที่
the
ตั้ง
object
ล
of
มไปเพ่ง
meditation.
รู้ว่าหลงไปแล้วหลงไปเพ่งแต่คอยรู้เท่าทันจิตตนเองไว้
Keep knowing so of your mind as you practice.
พอจะตั้งชื่อให้หลวงพ่อได้ไหม
Can you
จะชื่อ
name
สำนัก
how
อะไร
we
ดี
practice here? What our school, our lineage
พอ
name should
ใคร
be?
มาฟังหลวงพ่อทีแรกนะแน่มาจากไหนก็ตามอะงง
Many people who first listen to Luang Por, they get
แต่ถ้าบอก
confused.
ไปพุทโธไปเรื่อยๆไม่งง
But
ง่าย
after they
นะ
practice for a
แต่
while,
พุทโธแล้วให้พุทโธให้ถูก
they will understand. They
พุ
will
ทโธ
no
ที่
longer,
ทำให้ถูกมัน
they
ยาก
will confuse. They
ถ้า
will
อาศั
not
ย
going
ส
to
ติ
get
รู้เท่า
confused
ทันจิต
anymore.
ตัวเองนะเพราะอะไรเป็นพิษ
If they
อะ
are
จิตมัน
aware
ผิดอะสิ
of
จิต
the
มัน
mind,
ทิ้งอารมณ์
they
กรรม
will
ฐานบ้าง
understand
จิต
even
มัน
more.
ถลำไปจ้องอารมณ์กรรมฐานบ้างถ้าทำเป็นนะจิตสักว่ารู้ว่าเห็นอารมณ์กรรมฐาน
If you practice more and you see that the mind just working on its own, you will understand how to practice. In conclusion, everyone go practice. You can use any object of meditation of your preference. But doesn't matter which object of meditation you use, you have to know your mind. There's only 3 things that would happen as you practice. One is that the mind forgets the object of meditation. Second is that the mind is clinging, attaching to the object of meditation. And third is, it is just right, the mind becomes a knower. We have to practice until the mind is a knower, that it is not lost, it is not over-focusing on the object of meditation. What is the nature of the mind? The nature of the mind is to know so of the object. So we want to observe the nature of the mind. Let the mind knows. When the mind becomes a stable observer, then we can cultivate wisdom. Without the mind that is a stable observer, you cannot truly cultivate wisdom. It's all just thinking. You're not truly cultivating wisdom. It's all just thinking. So you can choose any object of meditation that you prefer. Is this difficult? Let's just give Luangpo a sweet smile. Can you see that your body is smiling? It's not that difficult to know that, right? Let's nod your head. Can you feel that the body is, the head is nodding? Let's notice the 3 things that is happening. One is you are nodding naturally. Another thing is that you are forcing yourself to nod. That is forcing yourself, and you feel the weight. Those who are looking at that person, do you know that the body was just turning and looking at that person? The mind was just lost. You didn't realize that because you didn't observe, you were not aware. So you didn't realize that as you turn around to look at that person in the hall, if you keep practicing and you keep knowing of your body and the mind, it's not difficult to know that. And to know correctly, there's no weight, as you know. But if you know incorrectly, you will feel weight. Can you feel that the mind just lost in thought right now? Most people in the hall now, the mind is just lost in thought. We are not trying to stop the mind from losing in thought, but just to know. The nature of the mind is to know. So know as the mind wander off to think. If you keep practicing, you know where mind will gain strength. And as the mind gains strength, you will see that the aggregates are separated. The aggregates are already separated, but you feel them as a whole because the mind is not a knower. You don't have to do anything if the mind is a knower. You will see yourself that the aggregates are separated already. That the physical phenomena is one thing, the feeling is one thing, the mental formation is one thing, the consciousness is one thing. None of that is not under our control. They rise and fall on their own. For example, if we can control it, if we can tell ourselves that we can only taste good food and not taste anything bad, that is not possible. Can we tell ourselves to just be happy and never be sad? Can we do that? That is not possible. If you keep knowing so of the truth, you will see that everything arises, it falls. Sometimes the mind is a knower, sometimes the mind is lost. Sometimes the mind is over-focusing. The mind rises and falls all the time. And you cannot ever tell the mind what to be. if you can see that, if you understand that, see this truth, and you can accept this truth, you can see that the mind is not us. This understanding is the understanding of Sodabana or the stream enterer. Most of the time as we practice, we try to control our body and the mind. We're not seeing the body and the mind as they are. So our duty is to see them as they are, not to try to control them. But to see that we have to have the mind that is a stable observer. To attain the mind that is stable observer, we have to be aware to know so as the mind is over-focusing or the mind is lost. As soon as we know that the mind is lost, for example, if you are doing Buddha, and then the mind wander away from Buddha, as you know so that the mind started to wander away, then the noble mind would arise. When you have the mind that is a knower, that is a stable observer, we can cultivate wisdom. It can see that all the 5 aggregates, they fall under the 3 characteristics. And then it will see the truth that there's no us. Now, can you name our school lineage now? What our school name should be, our lineage should be. Now many people are thinking what the name should be. This is why Luang Po never really stressed on the object of meditation that you have to use. Because the object of meditation is like the style clothing. It depends on your preference. So you can choose any object of meditation that you like to practice. Most schools out there, they teach a student to use the same object in meditations, but that's not what the Lord Buddha said, taught. The Lord Buddha taught depends on his students' personality. So it's not like in the industry that you can reproduce the same thing over and over. Can you see the picture now of how to practice? First, you must attain uphold the 5 moral precepts. Then you have to practice formally. Use any object of meditation that you prefer. Know so as the mind wander away. Know so as the mind is clinging, attaching to the object of meditation, over focus on the object of meditation. Every time you know so correctly, the mind is a knower. This method is suitable to people in this generation. Years ago, when Luang Po started practice, most train themselves to have strong samadhi before, and then attained the noble mind after. When Luang Po started to practice, Luang Po had a strong samadhi, but he didn't have a noble mind. He saw a light after he attained a strong samadhi. And as the mind followed the light, there was a vision of the heaven, of the angels, of the deities. Luang Po saw no use in seeing that. So he stopped himself from getting lost in the light when he was 10 years old.
ตอน10 ขวบไฟไหม้ใกล้ๆบ้านนะตกใจก็วิ่งไปบอกพ่อ
There was a fire near
ก้าว
his
ที่ 1 ต
home.
กใจก้าวที่ 2 ตกใจ
As he
ก้าวที่
moved,
3 เนี่ย
after
ส
one
ติระลึ
step,
กรู้
he
ย้อน
was
เข้า
still
มา เห็
frightened
นจิ
from
ต
the
ที่ตกใจ
fire. The second step, he was
เห็น
still
จิตที่ตกใจจิต
frightened.
ที่ตกใจ
And then
มั
the
นเป็น
third
โทสะ
step,
ชนิดหนึ่งนะ
he
ดับ
saw
ทัน
that
ที
the
เลย
mind was still
พอจิต
frightened from
ผู้
the
รู้
fire.
ดูก็
And he
เด่
saw
นดวง
that
ขึ้นมาตั้งแต่นั้น
the mind that is frightening,
จิต
that
ก็
is
เป็นผู้
under
รู้เด่นอยู่
the
อย่างนั้นแหละครูบาอาจาร
that
ย์เนี่ยหลวงปู่
is
สิม
that another
ไม่บอก
type of
ชื่อหลวงพ่อ
anger.
ท่านเรียกหลวงพ่อว่าผู้รู้
And then the
ใครเรียก
mind
ว่า
is
ผู้รู้
awakened. It was a
ไม่ใช่ผู้
knower.
หลงอะสิจิต
So
เราคอยรู้เนื้อรู้ตัว
after
เรื่อย
that, when Luang
ๆ
Por
หันซ้าย
visited
หันขวา
different
ก็รู้
masters, many of the masters
สุขทุ
called
กข์
Luang
ดีชั่ว
Por
อะไรก็รู้ไปเรื่อย
knower, knower, because Luang
ๆ เรา
Por
มีจิ
kept
ตเป็นผู้รู้แล้ว
knowing
นะ
so
ก็
of
เดิน
his
ปัญญาได้
mind.
ละคราวเนี้ย
When the mind was
ถ้า
angry,
เดิน
when
ปัญ
the
ญา
mind
ส
was
ติระลึก
sad, the
รู้
mind
กาย
was
ก็มีปัญญา
frightened.
เห็นกายเป็นไตรลักษณ์ จิตเป็นผู้รู้สติระลึกรู้เวทนาสัญญาสังขาร
So
ก็
as
ต้อ
you
งเห็นในเว
practice,
ท
you
นา
can
สัญญาสัง
also
ขาร
be
เป็นไตร
aware,
ลักษณ์
know so of the mind
จิตเป็น
of
ผู้
the
รู้
body.
แล้วก็เห็นว่าจิตเกิดดับทางตาหูจมูก
As
ลิ้น
the
กาย
mind
ใจ
is a knower, it will see
จิต
that
ก็ไม่เที่ยง
everything
เป็
arise
น
and
ทุกข์เป็น
fall.
อนัต
Even the
ตา
mind
ไม่ใช่ตัวเรา
arise
ขอ
and
งเรา
falls. This is not
เรา
us.
ดูซ้ำไปเรื่อยๆนะสุดท้ายจิตมัน
Keep
ก็ยอมรับความจริง
observing
ตัว
this,
เรา
keep
ไม่มี
seeing
หรอก
this truth until
มี
one
แต่
day
ขัน
you
ธ์
can
ห้า
accept the truth
มี
that
แต่การห
that's
มาย
no
รู้ผิด
us,
ว่า
that's
มี
no
ตัว
me.
เรา มีแต่การ
That's
คิด
only
ผิด
five
ๆว่ามีตัว
aggregates.
เรา มีแต่ความเชื่อผิดๆ
We
ว่ามี
have a
ตัว
wrong
เรา
view,
เรียกว่ามีวิ
wrong
ปลาส
understanding that we think
สั
that
ญ
that
ญาวิ
is
ปลา
a
ส
me,
หมายรู้ผิดว่าเป็นเรา จิตตาวิปลา
that
ส
is
คิ
a
ด
wrong
ผิดว่าเป็นเรา
perception and
นะทิฏฐิวิปลาส
interpretation.
เชื่อ
We
ผิด
think
ว่า
that
เป็นเรา
that is a me, that is a
ว่า
wrong
จริงๆเราภาวนาไม่
belief
ใช่เพื่อ
that
ละความเป็นตัวตน
that is a me.
เพราะตัวตน
So
ไม่
we
มีมาแต่
practice
ไหน
is
แต่ไร
that
ละ
not that
มี
we
แต่ความ
gonna
วิป
give
ลา
up
สสองอย่าง
ourselves, give up on
หมายรู้
ourselves
ผิดคิดผิด
because
เชื่อ
there's
ผิด
no
ว่ามี
self
เรา
from the beginning.
นี่เราจะทำลาย
We have a wrong understanding that
การห
we
มายรู้
feel
ผิด
that that is
ก็
a
หัด
us.
หมายรู้ให้ถูก มีจิตตั้งมั่นแล้วก็หมายรู้ความเป็นไตรลักษณ์นะเห็น
If
ค
we
วาม
have
ไม่
a
เที่ยง
mind
ก็
that
รู้
is
ว่าไม่
stable
เที่ยง
observer,
เห็น
we'll
ของ
see
ไม่ใช่ตัว
that
เราก็รู้ว่าไม่ใช่ตัวเรา
everything
หมายรู้ให้ถูก
is
คือหมายรู้ไตรลักษณ์
impermanent,
ถ้าหมายรู้
non-self,
ถูก เวลาคิดก็จะคิดถูกก็จะรู้เลย
and suffering.
อย่างเวลาเราโกรธนะจะรู้สึกเลยไม่ใช่เราโกรธนะจะเห็นว่า
If
ควา
you
มโกรธ
practice
มัน
correctly,
เกิดขึ้น
when you feel
เราสั่ง
angry,
เขาไม่ได้เนี่ย
you will see that
เนี่
this
ย
anger is not
ความคิด
us,
ของ
it's
เรา
just
จะ
something
ถูก
separate
ต้
from
องและไม่
us
เจือปนว่ามีเรา
that is started to have the right
สุดท้าย
view.
พอเห็นซ้ำๆหมายรู้ถูกซ้ำ
If you keep
ๆ
seeing
ๆ
this
ๆ ความ
again
คิ
and
ดก็ถู
again,
ก
this right view
ค
and
วาม
again
เห็น
and
ก็ถูก ทิฏ
again,
ฐิก็ถูก เกิดสัมมาทิฏฐิ
we'll start to have the right
เรา
understanding,
ชาวพุทธ
the right
ให้ลง
view.
มือภาวนาแทบเป็นแทบตายเนี่ย
This is
ไม่ได้อะ
why
ไรมาไม่เสียอะไรไป
Buddhists practice.
สิ่งที่เราเสียไปมีอันเดียวคือมิจฉาทิฏฐิ
The goal
สิ่ง
of
ที่
the
เราได้มา
practice
มีอัน
is
เดียว
not to
คือ
gain
สัมมาทิฏฐิ
anything, but
สัมมา
to
ทิฏฐิ
gain the
เรา
right
รู้ความจริง
understanding,
แล้
to
ว
gain the right
ตัว
view,
เราไม่มีหรอก
and to lose
ไม่มี
the
ตัว
wrong
มีตน
view
อะไร ถ้า
that
ตัว
there
เรา
is
ต
no
นนี้ไม่มี
us. If there's no us,
มิจฉาทิฏฐิอื่นๆก็จะดับไปด้วย
there's
ตัวนี้
no
เลย อย่างมิจฉาทิฏฐิพวกหนึ่งเขาเรียกศาสนาทิฏ
other
ฐิคิดว่า
wrong
จิตเที่ยง
wrong view too. For
จิตชาติ
example,
ก่อนกับชาตินี้ก็คนเดิ
if
ม
we
ชา
feel
ติหน้ากับ
that
ชาติหน้าก็คนเดิม
the
คิด
mind
ว่า
is
จิตเที่ยง
stable,
แต่เราเห็น
the
ความจริง
mind
แล้ว
in
จิต
the
มันไม่
past
เที่ยง
is the same mind
จิตไม่ใช่
today.
ตัวเรา
If
เราก็ละ
we see that there's no us,
ไอ้
then the
ศาสนา
mind
ทิฏฐิได้มิจ
before
ฉาทิฏ
is
ฐิ
not
กับ
us
ผู้อื่น
either.
อีกพวกหนึ่งคิดว่าจิตศูนย์เราพบว่าจิตไม่ได้ศูนย์จิตเกิดดับสืบเนื่องกันไปเรื่อยๆตาม
In
เหตุ
some
ตามปัจ
belief,
จั
they
ยของ
thought
มัน
that the
ถ้าจิ
mind,
ตศูนย์
there's
ก็
no
เป็นมิจ
mind.
ฉาทิฏฐิจิต
That
เที่ยง
is
ก็
a
เป็น
wrong
มิจฉาทิฏฐิ
understanding too.
เนี่ยถ้า
The
เรา
mind
ละ
rise
ควา
and
ม
fall
เห็น
all
ผิ
the
ดว่ามี
time.
ตัวมีตนได้นะไอ้ทิฏฐิวิปลาสชนิดอื่นก็จะหายไปด้วย
If we see that
เมื่อละ
there's
สั
no
กกาย
us,
ทิฏฐิได้ตัวเดียวคือ
if
ควา
we
มเห็น
see
ผิด
this
ว่าขันธ์ห้า
truth,
ทั้ง
we
หลาย
have
เป็นขัน
this
ธ์ห้า
right view,
มีขันธ์ห้า
we'll can let go
ใน
other type of wrong
ใน
views.
มีเรามีขันธ์ห้ามีขันธ์ห้าอยู่ในเราอะไรละตัวนี้ได้ตัวเดียวนะมิจฉาทิฏฐิอื่นหายหมดเลย
If we,
งั้นพระโสดาบัน
the wrong view
ละ
is
ควา
that
มเห็
if
น
we
ผิด
still feel that
ละ
the
สักกาย
five
ทิฏฐิได้
aggregates are us, if we
พระ
can
โสดา
see
บัน
that
ละ
the five
มิจฉา
aggregates are
ทิฏ
just
ฐิทั้ง
five
หมดได้
aggregates, it's not us, that is the right view. If we can see that and accept that, then we can let go of all the other wrong view. But to have this right view is to see the truth, keep seeing the truth that this body, this mind, they are not us. How to see this? To see this is just do what Luang Por taught, to practice. So the Dhamma is all about reasoning. Everything is revealed for you to see, for you to understand. And you can see the result of the practice yourself. Many of you now, you can see the results yourself, and you can see that there is changes in yourself. The people in the front here, you can see a lot of changes in your from your practice. Anyone want to see those people that Luang Por just pointed at? Can you see that? It's not difficult to see that you want to see those people. It's not difficult to know that, but it's just that you are neglecting, you neglect to see that. You let the mind wander off. Luang Por almost said that it is easy again. But some of the students protest, it's not easy. Prajan A said before that it was difficult. The practice is difficult. He had to work hard until before he can achieve it. And then when Prajan A gave a talk, he said again that, oh, but actually it's easy. Anyone feel that it's difficult or easy? If you never practice, it would be difficult. But if you start to practice, it will get easier. That is all the Dhamma talk for today. It's been 50 minutes. Today is Magha Puja Day. You have a chance to do good deeds. Do so. When you want to do good deeds, we don't know how much time we have left. There's wars in the world. We don't know how long the war is going to last. But for sure, the gasoline price, the gold price are going up. Our currency, the bill, banknotes, can mean nothing because they're just paper. You cannot eat paper. Last year, Luang Por told you to save by getting gold, but it is too late now. The gold price has shot up very high. Let's practice. Luang Por is going to observe everyone, so let's all of us practice. But as soon as you think of practice, you start by controlling the mind or controlling the body. Don't do that. Use the mind that is natural, ordinary, to know so of the object of meditation. Can you see? Can you feel the difference? When Luang Por when you first heard Luang Por said, let's practice. Most people try to control, but the second time Luang Por said, you don't have to control, just know it as it is. It's different. If you practice and you can feel the weight, that means you are trying. Let's practice. Try to practice as much as you can. Whenever you have spare time left, like 5 minutes, 3 minutes, you can just practice right away. That is all for today. Now you can go home. Later on, the gasoline price will go up. It will be expensive to come to the temple. You can listen to a Dhamma talk from home, but don't just lay down and listen. Sit up and listen. That is all the Dhamma talk for today. อนุโมทนาค่ะ